All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Deathlock podcast.
You know what? We need an intro.
Yeah, we do. One of these days, I'll make some sort of stupid intro, I guess. I don't know. But for now, we'll just stick with, our normal intro. Again, my name is Mike the Viz. To my bottom here, we have Mr. Mill Hustles. Welcome, Mr. Mill.
Hello, aloha from Hawaii.
Aloha. Oh, okay. Dang, I didn't know you were on vacation.
No, I'm not.
That would be nice, though, right?
Yes, sir.
Speaking of aloha, shout out to our buddy Tito, by the way, who I guess is from Hawaii or from that part of the world originally, I believe. Hopefully he's doing okay. I know his mother passed away recently, so shout out to him. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope you and your family are doing okay, buddy.
Yes, sir. Are you streaming on both channels?
Yeah, I'm streaming on the Deathlock and B-Tech reviews.
All right.
Okay, so let's see. I guess let's get to the point of topic here. We have a few things to talk about. I guess the biggest headline, which which I want to go over, is Vincent Kennedy McMahon, which is obviously I guess a minor majority holder of TKO, and holds pretty much like 49% of the shares that WWE had. Or has for the company is now going to be selling off his portion of it. Now I don't know if he's selling off like everything. I know he was selling off a good chunk of it though, or they want to sell off a good chunk of it. So what are your thoughts on that, Mr. Mill? Do you think that's going to happen, or do you think it's just kind of like a thing to get people away from like the whole scandal thing that's been going on with him the last couple of years, maybe?
I think that they are going to separate with him soon.
Yeah.
Because besides the NDA thing, which some people are treating it like it's the R word.
Oh, there you go. You sound a lot
it's
better
like,
there.
no, it's not. But I don't know. I just feel like maybe something else is he might be getting in trouble for far worse, or maybe he's finally realized, it's just time to go. I mean, the guy, his hobbies are working and working out. That's literally it.
Yeah.
That he's alienated his family for this company. Maybe it's like, you know what? Let me try something else. Let me get a hobby or something.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? But I feel like they're going to just separate from him soon.
Yeah, I think at this point it would probably be the best idea for them to kind of just separate from them in general. You know what I mean? Just because of what's been going on the last couple of years. Especially, it hasn't been good publicity for the WWE. And by the way, we have Borganta in here, so shout out to Borganta. He comes from the Tech channel, but he also joins in on the chat. So thanks again for joining in. But yeah, no, like I was thinking, well, maybe it's just some sort of like publicity ploy, just so that they can kind of get more attention back on WWE, right? But at the same time, it's like we all kind of know that that I feel like they just did bring him in just to kind of I guess finish with that merger or get that merger done, and then him eventually leave. I thought that was always the plan. But in this case, a lot of people thought that he was going to kind of have some sort of creative control with the company, which he still does, obviously, right? Vince is still the top guy for the WWE portion of TKO, but at the same time, like the guy's like 78,000 years old already. Doesn't really have what he had as far as in the head 25 years ago. It's a lot different now than it was then. Especially with just how the world and everything has changed. Social media has changed everything, right? Kayfabe is kind of dead now. There's very few people that are really like still doing the whole kayfabe thing. Very few wrestlers, at least. But yeah, I think it'll be an end of an era for him and WWE. I think once these other deals get going, Fox moving back to the USA Network. Monday Night Raw possibly moving to FX, right? That's what I've been hearing, and NXT moving to the CW, which we'll talk a little more about later on. Again, all these deals, again, they're making lots and lots of money, right? I think Vince just needs to, tuck his tail between his legs, take his money, and walk away, right? Let somebody else take over. Let the bigger greedy corporations take over, I guess. But
I
it's
don't,
what it
like I
is.
said on our last episode, I don't believe for a second that he's completely stepped away from creative. I don't believe it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, they're saying the word wrestling again, whatever. How do
Hmm.
we know that he didn't say, look, you can say wrestling to make the mark think that I'm completely away from creative? I don't believe that at all.
Yeah.
And
No.
Vince hates that word,
Oh
but
yeah.
when he stepped away before, um, when he supposedly retired, and they
Hmm.
started saying words that he banned, including wrestling.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I feel like he just said, "Go ahead and say wrestling, wrestle, wrestler, all this shit, just to make people think I'm not here no more."
Right. It could be a work or whatever, a work or shoot, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. What would that be considered?
Yeah,
You
he's
tell me.
working us.
He's working us, right? So it could be just that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, right, it is what it is, right? Like I said, he got the company to where it is today, right? And not to say that, uh, other other promotions or other people were not there along for the ride, right? I mean, he's been the owner of the WWE since the '80s. I think he took out a loan and bought the company from his dad, right? For I don't really know how much. I know it was like in
Million
the
bucks,
$1 million, yeah. Which in
which
today's
is
time,
he got a bargain.
yeah,
He
yeah.
got
So
a bargain.
yeah,
I haven't really researched the reason why it was so. I know his dad was sick.
yeah,
I don't really know the reason why he sold it so low because Gorilla Monsoon
hmm,
was a stakeholder
hmm,
with Vince's dad,
yeah,
and that was a hot territory up north. In the Northeast, when
yep,
Bruno Sammartino, a little bit of history, y'all,
hmm,
was the champion, like they were drawing like sellouts nonstop, especially in the Garden.
yeah,
So it's like to sell a company that's for just $1 million, there has to be something behind that. But yeah,
yeah,
he risked everything he had. I think he put his house up and everything, and
yeah. I mean,
he
that's pretty crazy.
yeah, he it was a risk that he took, and it paid off. But
Hmm.
besides that, you know, yeah, a lot of people helped contribute to the success of that company. But at the end of
Yep.
the day, those people didn't risk their money or livelihood like Vince
Hmm.
did.
Yeah. And just seeing what the company transformed to from the early '90s to the mid '90s to late '90s, obviously with the Monday Night Wars, and pretty much defeating the competition, buying out the competition in the early 2000s, and basically being really the only main promotion besides obviously TNA, which was the other North American promotion that was happening since what 2002, I believe that's when they started airing. Don't get me. You can correct me on that if you want. I'm not 100%
02,
sure.
it was June
Yeah,
oh
because
02.
I don't fully remember. I just remember watching a little bit of it, and then I got over it. I was just like, this is just WCW 2.0, but with like much older wrestlers that no one really cares to see. So that was
They should, I think a better name for them would have been TNC.
TNZ.
TNC, C as
Oh,
in cat.
oh, okay, TMC,
Yeah, TNC
TNC.
because they're not competition.
They're not competition. I like that, right? Um, So yeah, pretty much, that they pretty much were the only competition until recently, basically. I mean, you can look at other promotions, ECW, not really in that era, right? Got bought out by WWE as well. Vince bought out the rights. I'm pretty sure Paul Heyman got a nice little paycheck, but it probably wasn't as much as he probably should have gotten. But hey, he's been an employee of the company ever since then, and so I'm sure he's not complaining too much. Um, it's just going to be interesting to see, once he does finally exits and rides off into the sunset, I guess, especially other podcasters not talking about Vince McMahon. I think he's kind of been a pretty hot topic of conversation for the past couple of years already. And for him to just finally leave, I feel like a lot of people are going to be relieved and just say, like, good riddance. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hate Vince for what it is, right? I enjoyed watching him during the Monday Night Wars. His rivalry with Stone Cold. That that turn with Bret Hart, at that pay-per-view. I forgot what it was called. I know it was in Montreal though. The Montreal screw job, basically, right?
Yep.
Which is funny because like they could have handled it like so many other ways. Like even Bret, if you watch like the documentaries, like even Bret Hart has said like that, that he would have dropped the belt to anybody else except Shawn. You know what I mean? And he would have like been happy if it was like a disqualification, and then he just doesn't show up, and Vince just makes the announcement saying, "Hey, Bret had to vacate the title. He's no longer with the company, etc." Yada yada yada. Right? Things to that nature. But the way Vince went about that, right, was just kind of shady
I
to
mean,
begin with,
the
right?
thing about it is that had he done that, which you just suggested,
Yeah,
like vacate the title, it's like, dude, everybody knew already he was going to WCW.
yeah,
Like he had been signed already.
and that's because Vince had told him to go to WCW also,
Yeah,
because he
but like,
couldn't.
who knows, like how long before that he actually signed the contract? A couple weeks,
Yeah,
maybe, because Vince supposedly couldn't afford to pay him no more. But
yeah,
honestly, I have to. I have seen a lot about the Montreal Screwjob,
mm-hmm.
And the finish was supposed to be a double DQ apparently.
Oh,
But as
okay.
far as after that, I haven't heard anything about what would have happened. But that's kind of the WWE's fault. If I would have known that a guy's contract is about to come up, I told him
Mm-hmm.
he can sign with the competition, and I'm
Yep.
officially signed while still the champion. Maybe you should have got the belt off of him sooner.
Yeah. Yeah,
As
I mean,
soon as
it
you
could have happened
encourage
sooner.
the guy to go sign with the competition, and he
Yep.
says, "I'm going to," that's what you need to take the belt off him immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I definitely agree. It should have happened a lot sooner, or it just should have
Nobody
been
talks
done
about
a
that.
different way.
Like nobody. I'm gonna ask a couple of folks that I know that were there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask them why didn't they get the belt off of him sooner?
Right.
Like, did he sign 24 hours before the fucking thing or what? Like, it's just weird. I don't ever remember anybody talking about that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that. Well, pretty sure that any contract signing had to have happened after that specific day, right? Because
I mean, had I been in that situation, and
yeah,
hindsight being 2020, everybody's an expert in hindsight.
yeah,
That match with Shawn at Survivor Series never would have happened, but I'm glad it happened
yeah,
because that gave us the Mr. McMahon character.
yeah. And even though like it ended really shitty, especially for Bret Hart's side, because he really didn't have much of a career after that, especially in WCW. Yes, he had a few accolades. He was the world champion for a little bit, United States champion a couple times, and then he got his career ended by Goldberg. But the fact is, like like you're saying, yeah, it was an iconic moment, but it did escalate McMahon into a character that we just love to boo and love to hate so much, right? And of course, we can thank the anti-hero guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin for kind of pushing the agenda and making it fun to watch also, right? Making it fun to hate your boss.
Even though during that time they were
Mhm.
still losing the Monday Night Wars,
Yeah.
that 83-week run, they had a better product. WWE had a better product.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
I think another thing that kind of fucked them was that they were still taped.
Yeah.
But as you can see, eventually that backfired because WCW was giving out results to people.
Yep.
But then when Tony Schiavone said, I heard that Mick
Another
Foley
iconic moment
is gonna win their championship. Like
Yep.
millions of people said, "What? Fuck
Yeah.
y'all! I'm gonna go watch this."
Yeah, I think in a sense they kind of fucked themselves over a little bit, just because that could have been something that they could have just kept their mouth shut about, right? I mean, I don't know. I thought that was a trashy move, but
if I knew that something like that was gonna happen,
yeah.
And again, hindsight being 2020, I would have never ever brought that up. I would have told whoever approved that or whoever told me to do that, like, you sure you want to do that?
Yeah, and what's funny about that? I think as a kid, I was watching that live when, and I guess I was just happening to watch WCW that night, probably because every now and then I would kind of like alternate from WCW to WWE, and some weeks I would watch the entire show, and the other weeks I would skip whatever. But I was watching WCW that night, and I was like, yeah, you're right. I mean, if anyone that watched that show ended up flipping the channel and putting it on whatever the hell channel, I think it was still USA back in the day.
I mean, when it came to flipping back and forth,
Yeah.
I did that myself. Millions of us did.
Yeah.
But I just always was more interested in the WWE products.
I think what I would used to do also is I would set my VCR and I would record one show and I would watch the other one and then I would just watch the other show like the next day, like after I got out of school or something like that, or if it wasn't too late, because I think Raw back then was only like 2 hours, so
Yeah.
it's like I think what I would do is I would record Raw and then I would watch WCW and then because I think at one point WCW was 3 hours if I'm not correct on that.
They were 3 hours.
Yeah, they were 3 hours. Yeah, so they were 3 hours and
from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Yep. Here's the thing too. During those days, I used to get mad if I missed Raw. Like for whatever reason, if I got home late or whatever, and I was a little kid at the time, but let's say I just completely missed the episode. There were even times that my parents wouldn't let me watch it because I was that obsessed with wrestling.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you need a break. And my dad was a wrestling fan. I would get mad as fuck if I missed Raw. Now I get mad if I sit through a whole wrestling show, especially like all El Norte Wrestling. I actually sat through a whole episode of Dynamite yesterday.
Yeah,
we'll save that for another episode.
Well, we can talk about that, but all right. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and punch on to the next. I guess news story, right? Or one that I want to talk about. I guess we can talk a little bit about Crown Jewel. Did you get to watch Crown Jewel at all by any chance?
Nah, not really. I mean, I saw a few highlights, but like I was hype about it. But then when the day actually came, I was like, I don't care. It was too predictable. Okay. Yeah, and then I had to babysit my daughter that day. Well, I'm her full custodial parent. Not I had to. I had to. Yeah, I wasn't gonna be like. And then I know, I just said, nah, let's just hang out.
Yeah.
But okay, I saw some of the highlights, and it was kind of a show.
Yeah, no. So I mean, these Saudi Arabia shows are pretty much kind of like glorified house shows. They can be good, but they also can be very bad. Also, we've seen in the past that they can produce pretty bad shows out of whatever they're doing over there. But this one, I would say it's like half and half. It wasn't super great, but it did have its moments, right? A couple spots of the night, right? Like Logan Paul winning the United States Championship, right? Versus Rey Mysterio, which I thought, I kind of anticipated that it was going to happen, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, if Logan Paul's a part-timer, are we going to start seeing him on a weekly basis? You know what I mean? And I think, like you said, like, fantasy booking, right? He's gonna have that title till WrestleMania, and I think they're gonna probably push LA Knight to take the title off of him at WrestleMania, possibly. You still there? You with me?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that a smart booker would have given that match, Roman losing the belt to that show. Like if the Saudis, look, I'm not sure if the Saudi government is even, if there's any wrestling fans there. I mean, we know that they're bringing a bunch of sports over just to kind of promote the kingdom or whatever. But if I was part of the royal family and I was the wrestling fan I would have paid whatever. I said, look, make Roman lose the belt tonight. But there's no way they would have done that. Just like people wanting WrestleMania to be in the UK, that would be a crazy spectacle. But I just feel like the time differences would fuck up viewership. You know, like they usually count who's watching live versus who watches it on demand.
Yeah. No, and
did you really think that LA Knight would have won the belt?
No, I definitely didn't think it was going to happen. And it's funny because like a lot of there's been a lot of speculation, or I guess somebody announced, there's been announcements saying that Roman Reigns, this is going to be his last match of the year, basically, that we're not going to see him until possibly January at the Rumble, maybe. As far as a wrestling now, of course, he might be back for a couple appearances, but he's not going to wrestle. So I think that's what's kind of pissing a lot of people off. And that's why everyone's, they should just, take the belt away and give it to LA Knight, right? Let him run with it, even if he holds it just for a little bit.
That's Mark mentality,
Markism,
I mean,
that's what we call him.
Treating it like it's a fucking video game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work like that. This is a business.
Yeah.
If you want to fantasy book some shit, go play No Mercy or something. That's the problem with the wrestling business now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a video game. It's
Yeah.
not even a TV show anymore.
Well, at least the AEW side of it, you know what I mean?
Them especially, yeah.
Yeah, no one's buying Fight Forever, that's for sure. But
I actually want to try that game.
Oh god, I saw it at Best Buy the other day when I went to go look for a game because I had like a certificate, and I just like tossed it back in the dump bin over there. I was like, nope, I'm not in. Maybe if it's like $5 on like the PlayStation Store or something like that, I'll get it, but probably not. I won't ever waste money on AEW product like that, and that's because I think they were coming to San Antonio in December, and a buddy of mine was saying like, hey, you want to go to the show, or he was like thinking like, hey, we should go out there, but I'm just like, the way AEW's been, running, I think I would just kind of be bored. And then by the time they start recording Rampage, I just would be over it already. I'd be like, let's just go back to the hotel or let's go get something to eat. You know what I mean? Just because it's kind of like,
let's go get some Burger King tacos.
Right. Let's go get some BK tacos. It's just kind of exhausting to watch. You know what I mean? Like I want to watch it and I want to enjoy it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's
I'll give AEW this. I wasn't particularly bored.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it. It's good energy, but it's just Jesus, man. These wrestlers are so undertrained, and they just do too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's really bad acting too. It's just my God. Like I the problem with joining the wrestling business is that you can't watch any form of entertainment. You can't watch anything without being critical anymore. Like I would love to be able to just sit and watch it as a fan, but I have to wire myself to do that.
Yeah, no, same. It's like, and like I try to do that. Like I've been friends with people that are like super hardcore like wrestling fans, and don't get me wrong, like I feel like I'm a little more than the casual wrestling fan, but for what it is, like I try to really stay away from dirt sheets and whatever else, and just try to enjoy the show, right? And for what it is, right? Even if the show is bad, I've always been that way. I've never tried to be like super critical on WWE or even AEW, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, well, if the product's shitty, I'm not gonna say it's not, right? But yeah,
my Facebook account, which has been deactivated probably for 4 months now, 4 or 5 months.
It's only been 4 months.
Something like that. It's been a while. And, my longest time away from Facebook was probably 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
6 years?
Yeah, I was gone a long time before. But the thing about it is I'd say I have like 5,000 friends, but I also have 5,000 followers. So 10,000 people altogether had. They probably unfriended and unfollowed anyways, because you still can when you're deactivated. But what I'm trying to say is a lot of them are wrestlers on the independents that I've worked with before. And if I was to say these criticisms on Facebook, they'd be like, oh, you are in the business. Why are you hating? Shit like that. It's like, hey, my criticisms are fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I might sound harsh, but it's just, Dutch Mantel, like I said on the last episode, he liked the wrestling business when the marks were in the crowd, not when they were in the locker room.
Yeah. Yep, that's true, and I think we see a lot of that in the fantasy booking that Tony Khan continues to place, and it's not really like, to me, it's like they don't really hype up matches like they should in that organization, right? I mean, they do what they can, right? But it's like when you're putting a pay-per-view together and it's like, you have 2 weeks to put a match together and, you put a Japan guy versus Kenny Omega or anybody else like that. It's just like, well, like, first of all, like people that some people don't even know who Kenny Omega is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like not to knock on Omega, right? The guy is still considered one of the top tier wrestlers in the world, right? But it's like, okay, Kenny Omega versus I don't know, some Ishii guy from Japan, and no one knows because again, the casual wrestler here in the US is not going to know. Like that can Google and go watch like, you know, whatever matches on YouTube and be like, oh, you know, but like,
Bro,
you know,
Japanese wrestling has fallen off so bad.
yeah.
I've never been, I've been extremely casual with New Japan wrestling because I don't know where to watch it. But it is, they have fallen off so bad. When
Hmm.
Not Giant Baba, when Inoki was still alive,
Hmm.
when they were at their heyday, they had some good shit. Everybody went through New Japan. And now it's just like, what the fuck? What's the point of watching now? You know,
Hmm.
it's you know, somebody needs to go to Tony Khan. I've said this to nauseum. They need to take the his pen and his pad away from him, hand him a video game controller, and say, "Go play your video games over there. We're gonna write a wrestling show."
Yeah. That's what it seems like.
But they're not as boring as WWE is. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Like Jesus Christ, dude.
I mean, I can't say anything because I don't watch that portion of wrestling to begin with. So, but you know, a lot of people would consider a lot of things more entertaining than WWE. Like Morganto over here saying it's bad wrestling when the show is more effective than a sleeping pill at putting you to sleep. Which, you know, a lot of times I've fallen asleep through a lot of WWE Raws and SmackDowns. Right, I'll fall asleep halfway through and I'll wake up like towards the end of the show and I was like, what did I miss? You know what I mean?
Man, honestly, it's been years, like years. The only things that I really sit through are SummerSlam,
Mm-hmm.
Survivor Series, the Royal Rumble, like just the Royal Rumble match itself. But
Uh-huh.
really, I'm a highlight guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a highlight. If I sit through a whole wrestling show, it's probably something that a lot of the audience that came out before a lot of the audience was even born.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. You know, I go to, you know, I went to that WWE live event a couple weeks back, and you know, you see like 5-year-olds, or you know, you see people your age with their kids, and you're just like, man, dude, these kids don't even like they don't even know like how good wrestling was back then, and you know, maybe it's just like a different perception because when we were kids, you know, like we were like maybe we thought it was good, and maybe it wasn't good, you know, maybe it was
Oh,
just
like
our
watching
perception.
the Attitude Era,
Yeah,
for example, like
yeah,
like knowing what I know now,
yeah,
like if we're gonna talk about the wrestling itself, it was a lot of shit, like a lot
yeah.
of crap.
Hmm.
But the characters, the storylines, is what made us enjoy it so much.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like
I
we didn't.
think
I never watched the Attitude Era to
for
you
the
know
wrestling.
for the actual wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean until we got to the pay per view, but I watched
Yeah.
for the antics.
Yeah, dude, like I can even agree with you there that like even though like I couldn't afford to buy pay-per-views, right? The hype up to the pay-per-views made you want to watch the pay-per-views so bad. And like I think my wrestlers were I mean sorry, my neighbors were big wrestling fans also, so every now and then they would chip in money to like order a like a pay-per-view event and we would go watch like, you know, whatever was happening at the
Bro,
time.
my brother would order pay per views,
Uh-huh.
and he knew he'd get his ass chewed out for it. But he's like, dude, I had to watch it. I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck if I get grounded. I don't
Yeah.
care. I had to watch that pay per
So
view.
he was like busting out your parents' credit card, or he was just ordering it without their permission.
Yeah, ordering it like on the
Jeez.
cable system, like just press a couple buttons and all right, enjoy the show.
Did your parents ever like refute the charges and be like, "Well, I didn't give my son permission, so I don't want to be billed like $60 or $70." You know what I mean?
I think that only worked like one or two times.
Oh,
Eventually, they'll be
okay.
like, "Yeah, someone's a wrestling fan at home. You got to pay for it."
Yeah.
But when I started working, I would order a lot of the pay per views.
Interesting. Yeah, no. For me, like, I think when I was like 17, or when I was like getting close to out of high school, you know, our local Buffalo Wild Wings would show the pay-per-views, you know, at their venue. So we would just go and pay like $5 and we would watch the pay-per-view. And I would go like on whatever day they would have it, Sunday nights usually, I believe. But it sucked because like I was still like in school, so like my parents would be kind of pissed off because like sometimes the pay-per-views wouldn't end until after 10. But I would go with one of my neighbors, so luckily my parents, like, I guess, trusted my neighbors because they were, they would, he would drive me out there and whatnot. So I guess, it
Yeah,
was, it
like
wasn't, it wasn't that bad, but
I,
still,
I,
like,
I can name a bunch of events that I ordered.
yeah,
Look, like I
Taboo
started
Tuesday,
watching the
Taboo
WWF
Tuesday. Mhm.
in 1995. Was when I started watching it. I was 10 years old. That's when I became officially a wrestling fan. My dad
Mhm.
watched wrestling all his life. He would try to get me to watch it, and I just never got into it until
Yeah.
I started like giving it a chance. And certain
Mhm.
wrestlers, Kevin Nash to be exact. Um, and then from 1995
Mhm.
like until late '96, I quit watching wrestling because I
Yeah.
got bored of it because the product sucked. And then
Yeah.
my cousin brought WrestleMania 14 to my house, the VHS, when Stone Cold won the title from Shawn the first
Mhm.
time. And
Okay.
I said, let me watch this.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, this is some good shit here,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and this was in like 1999 when I saw this tape. It was like a year old already.
Mhm.
I started watching wrestling full time again when just like Royal Rumble '99, I would say, is when I became a full time wrestling fan again.
Yeah.
And then I watched all through '99, all through 2000, all through 2001, and
Mhm.
then like right in like first quarter 2002 when the NWO came in, I quit watching wrestling until like shit, like to right before Eddie Guerrero died.
Oh wow.
I started watching it again, and then Chris Benoit died. Then I got
Yeah.
bored again. I didn't watch wrestling full time again until like 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11. I saw Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker or Triple H versus Undertaker in the
Mhm.
Hell in a Cell with Shawn,
Yeah.
and that's like the first pay per view I saw in like 5 or 6 years. And
Yeah.
then
That's
I
pretty
quit
crazy.
watching again. And then it wasn't until like 2014, 2015, I started giving wrestling a chance. So it's been very, very, very on and off for me.
Yeah.
Like the
Uh,
product gets so bad, I just don't even care to watch it.
yeah, no. So I mean, it's been kind of the same for me over the years, right? Where like, yeah, well,
Well,
since 2015, I've been pretty much watching wrestling like nonstop. I guess I wouldn't say nonstop, but like, I keep up with the product and what's happening, even if I don't watch every week. But prior to that, right, when I was, going to school and when I was, in my, long-term relationships, when I was with my first couple of girlfriends, I really wasn't paying attention to wrestling. I think there was a period between like probably after I graduated from high school, when it was like what 2004, where like it was more like they were kind of transitioning John Cena as the guy at the time, right? And I was watching a little bit of here and there, but I really wasn't. I get too much into it. It was once the Stone Cold era ended and The Rock had left already, and I was just like, well, it's really not as entertaining to me anymore, right? Of course, a couple of years later, I would still keep up with the events. You still there with me, by the way?
yeah,
Okay, so I would still keep up with the events, and then my buddies would still invite me to go to the pay per view. So I kind of knew what was happening. I wouldn't go to all the pay per view like shows at the bars or Buffalo Wild Wings. We would go to Buffalo Wild Wings. Um, but I would go to like the big four. So I'd go to like WrestleMania. I would go to the Royal Rumble. I would watch. I wouldn't go, but I would watch Survivor Series. And I think it was what SummerSlam. I would try to keep up today. And like, luckily, back then, they would literally show like the video packages before every like match. So I didn't really have to watch what happened, or what was happening. You would just see what was happening during those video packages and be like, okay, so that's what happened, right? So let's see if this match is any good, right? So
yeah, the actual
um,
promos, those were
yeah,
good.
Yeah, so we would do that, and then again, I didn't really start watching wrestling again until probably 2014, right? Kind of like I guess the CM Punk era, right, where he had his title run. That's where I kind of started paying attention again, and then of course I was going to school, and that's when I had actually started like doing my wrestling podcast with my other buddies. Back in the day, me and my buddy Isaac, which he just brought it up to me one day. He saw me in class because I was like in an audio production class, and he's like, "Hey, you're into wrestling also?" And I was like, "Yeah," like because I was wearing like a Shield shirt at the time, I think. And of course, this guy, he's definitely a lot different. He followed like New Japan, and he followed like Ring of Honor and TNA, all those other promotions. I was really just a WWE guy, but he knew that, so we just strictly talked WWE, and and then of course his little segment of the show, he would talk about like the other wrestlers. So I didn't really like hear a lot of these other wrestlers' names until I met him, right? And then a few other friends after that, right? I was like, okay, I guess there's wrestling outside of WWE that people care about. But again, I still really wasn't paying attention to it. One of my buddies invited me to a Ring of Honor. Like he invited me to his house to watch a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. And I took him up on the offer, and I was like, okay, the wrestling's actually it's pretty fun to watch. Right. That was like when I first got introduced to the first of the elotes over here. The old bucks, or the dumb bucks is what I like to call them. And I got to
Dumb
see,
Bucks, that's tremendous.
I got to see them wrestle in some sort of like, triple threat tag team, whatever match where everyone was just super kicking, and it was just kind of ridiculous. Anyways, going forward, I've just been kind of keeping up with the product ever since, right? Even if I don't watch it every week, thank you to, I guess, apps like Hulu, which, at one point, when I was working my full-time job the last couple of years, I was working like 1 to 10 shifts, so I would unfortunately miss Raw, but luckily it was on Hulu the following day, so I was able to
Speaking
just
of
kind of watch.
Hulu,
Yep.
I'm probably on my 5th or 6th free trial with them.
Oh, really? You're on a free trial?
Yep, ad-free plan.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Oh shit, that's
Man,
pretty
there was
crazy.
a time though, man, that like it didn't matter what the promotion was.
Uh-huh.
If I saw wrestling on TV, I would watch it. Like that was during the Monday Night Wars.
Oh
Like if
yeah.
there was somebody that was not none of the big three, I would still watch it just because wrestling was so hot at the time. But nowadays, like
Mm-hmm.
one thing I do listen to a fuck ton is
Uh-huh.
podcasts, wrestling podcasts. Like
Okay.
like from perspectives of old wrestlers shoot interviews.
Yeah,
I
like Jim
listen
Cornette.
to those like crazy. Yeah, I
Like
listen
Jim
to those like
Cornette.
crazy.
Yeah, no, I watch a few. I only follow a few podcasters. Like I follow these guys that are from Canada. I don't know if you heard of them. Post Wrestling. And then I follow Barstool Wrestling, although they don't really post a lot on their YouTube channel anymore. I don't know if they're just doing like audio stuff like on the other apps or whatever. Of course, your favorite guy, JD from NY. I like to hear that guy rant about stuff every now and then.
No, my
But
first like favorite wrestling podcaster, and it's someone that I sponsored on their channel before,
mm-hmm.
and he's pretty big. Is a Solid Monster.
Oh, okay.
And my brother's a
I
big
think
fan
I've heard of
Solid
him.
Monster.
Yeah, yeah. One of my buddies has sent me videos of that guy.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I like him.
Okay, hold on. My friend says it's raining outside, but I'm like, I'm doing a podcast, bro, so I can't go look outside. What the heck? It's raining outside. Whoa.
But yeah, we got kind of off track. So what's the next subject?
Yeah, of course, right. This is a scripted podcast, anyways, right? So besides the Logan Paul winning the U.S. title, right? There was obviously something that happened during the match, and I think if you guys go back and watch the match, I really didn't pay attention during the match, and I didn't really catch that. But I think Rey Mysterio was kind of doing a springboard like moonsault, and Logan Paul was actually supposed to catch him. But I guess, Logan Paul was a little too far back. So Mysterio literally almost landed on his head, right? And the guy could have broken his neck. Luckily, Logan Paul, I guess, caught the mistake, right? And he kind of lunged forward, and he kind of put himself at risk also, because apparently he's had some like leg or knee issues. And he caught Mysterio, right? And of course, like, if you go back and watch the replay on that, Mysterio was already like sticking his hands out, luckily. But, imagine if he wasn't. And imagine if Logan Paul didn't, wasn't in that spot, But again, if you go back and watch Stevie Richards, analysis of that, he kind of put a little bit of the blame on Logan Paul also because Logan Paul should have been a little more, a
so
little
he
bit
went
closer.
over that. Richards went over that.
Yeah,
Okay,
Richards did go over that. Yeah, so Richards basically saying that it is partially Logan Paul's fault also because he should have been a little bit closer to Mysterio when he was doing the salt. So
now,
it
did
was.
Stevie Richards say, even though he had some fault,
Uh-huh.
this is what good training is all about? He caught the mistake on time because that could have been disastrous. Did he say that?
I don't necessarily recall him saying that, but I just do remember him kind of commending him for at least for him putting his body on the line and making sure that Mysterio didn't get hurt, right? Because again, Paul could have gotten hurt as well during that match or during that spot.
But see, I would if I knew I was going to save a guy from getting paralyzed and it meant I was going to tear my knee up somehow, I would have did it. But it happens. Mistakes happen. The timing was off. It was obviously off in that.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it was just, I think it was a very fast-paced in the moment, spot where, maybe again Paul wasn't thinking and he was a little bit distracted or something happened, and he just decided or it just happened, right? Luckily, nothing worse came of it, and
Mysterio... I can't imagine the relief that Rey Mysterio felt after that match. Because all these guys go into these matches and they don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some pretty ugly shit happen.
Mm-hmm.
That guy that Rey Mysterio was wrestling in Mexico that died during that match.
Oh yeah, the what is his name, Pedro Aguayo or something like that, right?
His son, I think, Pedro Aguayo Jr.
Yeah,
Darren Drozdov.
I remember when that happened, also, man. That
Draws getting paralyzed in a match.
Yeah, he breaking his neck or getting paralyzed as well, right? He ended up passing away.
That shit, it happens. It's crazy, but yeah, I need to definitely watch that because Stevie Richards, he would know better than us because he's actually wrestled. I've only taken bumps. I know how to take bumps. I know how to run ropes. I know how to I know how to properly throw someone out of a ring.
Yeah.
But that's
I think it was a pretty short analysis, but I think it was pretty short and to the point, like what he was talking about. So I mean, again, he it could have been disastrous, and let's move on from that. So again, another point I wanted to talk about was Cena losing his match. So at Crown Jewel again, Cena losing again and just continuing the losing streak against Solo Sikoa, right? It's been 2,000 days since he's won like a singles match or something like that, which I think over the last 4 or 5 years we've already known that Cena has been kind of out the door and close to retirement.
I mean, that's
getting there.
He's that's a tradition, man.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I kind of respect Cena for doing it a little more because, right, he was, I mean, majority of his career was just winning, and it was kind of the same where, it was, and a lot of people had the perception back then that he was kind of burying the younger talent also, right? Because a lot of people were losing to him at the same time, but he was WWE's top guy even back then, right? So it's like having Roman. It's like having Roman Reigns lose to Logan Paul or, whoever is young in the business right now, right?
At the end of the day, if my check is going to be bigger for working with John Cena, how's my check going to look if I win or if I lose? If it's going to look the same, I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just me, though. But, I mean, I know he'll eventually start getting some wins again. Like if he wrestles actually on TV, but like you said, he's got a foot out the door.
Yeah,
I don't think
there's
he's going to be there
nothing
that
wrong with
much
that.
longer. I don't know if he'll be there this week or if that's it. Like he's going back to work in Hollywood. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's understandable.
I thought the 15 spikes. I thought that was too much.
Yeah, I think that was a little.
I feel like that makes the move look like a little. It looks. It's a strong looking move, but it's
a little weak.
It's like giving 16 super kicks. It's like, man, just do 1 or 2 or 3. Like if he would have just did 3 in a row like that, I thought that would have been more effective. But that's just opinion.
Yeah, it's like being like the Young Bucks and just doing a super kick like a bajillion times.
Yeah. So what's next?
All right, what's next? Well, whatever you had mentioned, I think that was the point of topic that I wanted to talk about. Let's see. So you wanted to talk about AEW fans making excuses
Jesus, like they're
for the bad
blaming
product.
they're
Yeah.
blaming sports political debates on low ratings. Like if your show is good and it has competition like that, sure you're going to lose a
Mm-hmm.
few viewers, but they'll come back. They'll
Mm-hmm.
DVR it. No, these people are not coming back. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Their audience is shrinking more and more and more. Stop
Yeah.
making excuses. I know y'all want them to succeed. I want them to succeed. If you're in
Yeah.
the business or you're a fan, you want them to succeed. You want options. You don't want a monopoly anymore. But it's just like y'all need to oh fuck it. I'm at a loss for words about it, man. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like get snap back into reality.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's understandable, and I mean, you see it with like the ticket sales that AEW is producing, where like they basically just have to like buy like it's buy one get like 10 free or something like that, just to get people to go and watch their show. So it's kind of ridiculous, like that they can't even keep people to watch, to stay and watch that third hour of Rampage or whatever like that, and then the Collision shows just being super bad. So
That their
we got
momentum.
who in the house over here, by the way, just turned off the Bears game. I wasn't paying attention to Thursday night football today, but we got Latrizzle in the house.
The Trizzle. No, man.
Latrizzle, whoa.
It's not special no more. AEW their first
Yeah.
2 years had
Yeah, I
incredible
think they
momentum.
peaked. Yeah, they peaked. Once they peaked when CM Punk signed, and then once CM Punk signed, and then he got hurt. The first couple of times, it just kind of fell off the road, or whatever you want to call it, fell off the tires or fell off the ball or they dropped the ball on a lot of aspects of what the show could have been. And I think TK was just, like you said, booking for himself and not booking to actually produce a good show instead of just putting a bunch of random matches together and seeing what sticks to the wall, right?
Nah, not only that, if they're giving all this creative, if he's allowing all this creative input,
Mm-hmm.
which that's definitely the type of company you want to work for. If you're
Yeah.
allowed to give input and you're not stifled,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's not just his fault. If he's
Yeah.
allowing you to make input and he's approving it, you need to start giving him some better ideas too.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, and it's interesting because there's so many like ex veterans that are there that are working behind the scenes, or just veteran talent, guys like Chris Jericho, guys like Paul White, Mark Henry, I think Dean Malenko works in the back in some aspects. I think Arn Anderson ended up leaving, which that's pretty obvious why he left.
I mean,
But
these guys are there for at the end of the day.
they're just there for a paycheck, also. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're going to be like John Laurinaitis and be TK's yes man and be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's whatever. You know what I mean? So I mean, it is what it is. I think like you said though, I think the fans are, especially the hardcore fans, are making excuses for TK when the product is just generally bad. And like every week, you see reports of them saying like that the ratings are just kind of continuing to drop, whether it be Dynamite or Collision. I don't think anyone ever even talks about the ratings on Rampage anymore. So I think that's just kind of like I feel like Rampage is just like the Ring of Honor version of AEW, because they kind of just use a lot of the Ring of Honor talent on that show. Guys like fucking Mark Briscoe, or was it Mark Briscoe or Jay Briscoe? I don't even know the guy's name. Anyways, next one. Let's see. Jade Cargill.
Real quick before we go, he should just give that Rampage slot to Ring of Honor. I know that they won't take. I don't know if
they probably won't.
I don't know if Warner will accept that name, but why don't they just name it AEW Ring of Honor?
Right, something like that.
Friday nights, an hour. Put the best talent on there. Have someone else book the show. You stick to your abysmal booking on Collision and Dynamite and let someone else do Ring of Honor, you know?
It should just be Ring of Honor by AEW, you know what I mean, or something like that
Yeah,
to
there
that
you
extent.
go.
It's just like it's kind of like what WCW did with the ECW brand, you know, with that little 1 hour crap on Sci-Fi or whatever they did back in the day. You know, I mean, it worked for a little while, and who knows? I mean, maybe it'll work for TK, but at the same time, it's just like I don't know. I mean, apparently, from what I've been hearing, also they are trying to get a TV deal for Ring of Honor, right? I don't know if they're going to stick to whatever they're doing. I think they're on the Fight app, and I think they probably have their own app or something like that. But I mean, like, I don't know. I think the really really hardcore like wrestling fans are only going to go and pay to watch that portion of the company. I'm definitely not. I'll watch whatever I see on TikTok or social media, as far as that goes, but I really don't care what's happening. Don't know half the talent. I mean, I know a few of the talents like Ember Moon, right? Ember Moon, aka Athena, right? Who, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, honestly, like I don't know how true the rumors are,
uh-huh.
but I would never ever create a whole TV show
Yeah,
just because one part
yeah,
of wrestlers didn't get
mm-hmm.
along with the other ones. I tell y'all work together or go home.
Yep, yeah,
You
that could be
know,
that also.
I mean, Vince McMahon didn't make the brand split because Triple H didn't get along with Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean
Let's
for
try
sure.
something different. That's what it sounds like. I don't know how true it is, but
Mm-hmm.
if that's the fact, then it's like and of course, if the network wanted more programming, that's another motivator. Cool,
Mm-hmm.
but that's just like that's the narrative that goes around, and if that's part of the reason the second show was created, it's like it's like you need to like tell your boys like, hey, look, y'all don't have to like each other personally, but y'all have to like each other professionally.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, it could have happened like that with with the Elotes after Brawl Out, but that's not what happened, unfortunately. And now we know. Now we see what's happening, and of course, there's a lot of rumors that's happening that's saying that CM Punk will be at Survivor Series in Chicago. In Chicago in a couple of weeks. That's right, Latrell. Chicago Series, or I mean, Chicago Series, Survivor Series will be in Chicago in a couple of weeks. So if you don't go to the show, then I will be disappointed in you. Is all I'm going to say.
I mean,
Okay.
look, that's gonna be cool for a pop, a
Yeah.
couple of ratings here and there, but and I'm a CM Punk fan. Don't get me wrong. I'd love
Yeah.
to see him have one more run in the company he had the most success in, but
Yeah.
it's like if it happens, okay, cool. We got a pop for a night. We'll have some boosted ratings for a little bit.
Yeah.
What's next?
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, who knows? Who knows how long the excitement of CM Punk being there will last, right? I mean, especially with so much with WWE just having so much talent that they really just don't know what to do with anymore. I believe I feel like it's very hard for them to book shows, but it has been getting better now that the McMahon era is gone, and Luttrell is saying that he might go to the show. So I would be super stoked out if he goes and sends like photos and shit like that from the event. So I
And
think
then people that are like hardcore CM Punk fans, hardcore wrestling fans in general, it's like,
mm-hmm.
um, don't have your hopes up. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting it, but like so many little things have been happening. Like I think they've been reporting saying that they changed his status on the WWE like alumni webpage and whatnot. Just little things here and there, little nuances. Like over the last couple of weeks, also they've been kind of cutting, whether it be like Seth Rollins or Shinsuke Nakamura, they've been kind of cutting promos that have been lines that CM Punk have said in the past, right? Little things here and there to kind of like hint that, hey, it could happen, right? Even like the commentary people, it's like people are catching these little things, right? So I think that's pretty interesting. Um, let's see. Latrell says those tickets aren't worth it. So no, I'm not. I just say I want to. Okay, so he's not going to go. That would be pretty cool if he ended up going though. If you end up going and getting like nosebleed section seats, just that would still be cool. So, but okay, moving on. Right, the next thing was Jade Cargill and Big Checks, which this one I really wasn't aware of.
Yeah. I don't know if it was just a random tweet or
Mm-hmm.
responding to someone, but she said,
Yeah.
"Why wrestle if my big check clears every week?"
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people had mixed reactions about it. You know, some people were like, "Hey, that's how you play the game. You
Mm-hmm.
know, work as little as possible, and make all the money you can."
Yeah.
And of course, some people are like, "Oh, well, you should be wrestling more because you're getting paid to do it."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, the wrestling purist might be upset
Mm-hmm.
about a comment like that. You know, saying, "Oh, you're just treating it like it's a business when it's an art form or whatever."
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just want to see what you thought
Well,
about that. But my
well, my
opinion,
yeah, okay, my opinion on that is if you're treating it like a business, like it is, because it is a business, then you're going to be a winner in the business because, a lot of people don't realize that, that even though, wrestling is a sport in some aspects and, people love and cherish it. Like, I think people take it too seriously. At the end of the day, the wrestlers are not, they want to make money. They want to make as money as they can. It's like getting into any profession, right? You don't want to be the bottom feeder, and making like, only 100K when they can be making $5 million a year plus, whatever they make on top of like, t-shirts and, like, merchandising sales and whatnot. Right. So it's like, you have to look at the bigger picture at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, they're there to make money, and so is the company.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's my
Like,
opinion on that.
imagine getting upset at someone because they want to make money without bumping up and down the road
Yeah,
for 280, 300 days a year. You know, that's
and
just
yeah,
me. I
people are
think
gonna
she's
get
playing
mad.
the
I
game.
mean,
I
it's
think,
the same thing with Roman Reigns and like guys like Brock Lesnar who are her part-time wrestlers nowadays. You could even say that Bryan Danielson is a part-timer, or he will be very very soon.
yeah,
But
but the difference is Brian Danielson, Brock Lesnar, and Roman Reigns have earned that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they did earn that, so you're right about that. You sound really muffled, by the way.
My bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, they earned that.
Yeah, and there's nothing, I think you're right. They to some degree they did earn it, but I feel like I think WWE is starting to realize now that, and just not just WWE, other promotions, is that like they need to kind of sign people while they're hot also, and if that means having to pay them, then that's what's going to happen. Just like what's happening with MJF right now, right? I think next year is going to be a very interesting year when it comes to like people getting released or moving over, to different companies, right? And see how that goes. I think it'll be good. It's good. It's good for the talent, in my opinion. I think because they're getting paid more now than they ever were. And if it's like you want to get paid is all I'm gonna say. It's like me, being the CEO of HEB and only getting paid like $20 to do my job, right? When it's like you're the CEO, you're the top guy,
Oh,
Mr.
by
Butt.
the way, we were talking about the Montreal screw job earlier.
Yeah.
Where are the headquarters of HEB?
The headquarters is in San Antonio.
So I'm going to tell you about the San Antonio screw job that they could do. Let's say that there's an employee that they want to
Yeah.
get rid of, but they're just scared to tell them for some reason, or the employee just says, "No, fuck you,
Yeah.
I'm not quitting. I'll be here forever."
Yeah.
You know how you do the San Antonio screw job?
How?
Give them a week off of work and tell them it's a vacation,
Oh God.
but schedule them without them knowing and say, "Oh, called no showed for 4 days, so
Yeah.
you quit. So
Yeah.
bye."
I think HEB's policy is if you no call no show for 2 days, you're no longer employed. Like you're basically fired. So or they take you off the roster. It's like it's not even a question. You are let go. So it's like, but I don't know how that works for higher level employees. I know for like the in-store employees, I think that's what happens.
I mean, if you've been there a long time, if you have a
Yeah.
grievance, but you have produced like positive results for them.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's times where I just quit showing up at a job for days and days and
Hmm.
days, and they're like, "Gilbert, what happened? Come back, talk to us." And they
Yeah.
won't even write you up. They'll just be like, "Oh yeah, we'll address whatever that was, but please just let us know next time."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
but yeah, watch
yeah.
out for the San Antonio screw job.
It might happen one day if I ever move to San Antonio. You never know. But anyways, okay,
I
going back to that,
refuse.
like,
I refuse to clock out in San Antonio.
right? I'm not gonna. It's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna. Well, it's so easy now. Like you can actually like edit your punches through like the HEB app, but that's a different topic for a different day. So, I could always go and say I did show up to work. Anyways, Brian Danielson should retire. So that was our next point of conversation there.
I mean, look, the guy's been pretty injury prone.
Yeah.
His last several years wrestling.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but these guys come from promotions where the work is a lot stiffer.
Mm-hmm.
They are doing like a lot of crazy shit move wise, but then when they come to the WWE style, which is much softer for good reason, but the schedules are crazier, I feel like that they get injured more when they go to the WWE. I don't know. That's just me looking from the outside, but maybe his arm still hasn't even properly healed.
Yeah.
And then he injured his wrist or something,
and then got his face broken.
Yeah, the bone under your eye.
Yeah,
and it's just like, man, you can slow down, dude. Like, take some time off.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, first of all, like, I don't.
Edge was like that a lot too.
Yeah, well, I mean, towards the end of his original WWE run before he ended up having to early retire because of his neck, right? That's what we would see a lot of, but. I could appreciate what Brian Danielson has done in AEW since he's arrived the last couple of years, right? He has put on some pretty high-profile matches, right? The only thing I kind of dislike is that he's pretty much lost every single one of them except for, like, Okada maybe, and maybe the most recent ones, right? Where, again, he got hurt. It's just kind of dumb. Like, he's winning, but he's also getting hurt at the same time. And, I don't blame. I feel like I don't blame his style of wrestling. I think it's just like things that are happening that are kind of that are just happening. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, when Ray Phoenix dropped Moxley on his head like twice, that looked like it was just like, okay, like these guys are really fucking up. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it is what it is though. Guys like Adam Cole, guys like again Daniel Bryan, they're a little more on the flimsy side when it comes to their longevity, I believe. So I think we all knew that this was going to be Daniel Bryan's last run, whether he got hurt or not. So I'm just interested to see what's going to happen. I think he did. I think he is going to wrestle in Japan at Wrestle Kingdom or something like that. I think that was announced recently, also, right?
Dude, like Daniel Bryan, man. Yeah, like, dude, it's time to it's time to chill out, man. Go do some shoot interviews. Go do some autograph signings.
He could be a backstage producer, Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 young kids. He doesn't need to put his body on the line like he is anymore. Like, and that's because
he's solidified in wrestling.
Yeah, and that's because, like, he's not as old as some of the other talents, guys like Edge, right? Guys like Christian, right? Who are still, competing at a high level. But it's not even that. It's just like, the way he's wrestled over the past, 20 some years, it's caught up to him, and it's really, messed up his body. Whether it be his head.
Do you get what I said earlier though? Like, I guess, like, why do these guys do these insane moves in New Japan, Ring of Honor, TNA, these crazy ass matches, but when they come to the WWE, it's like they get injured all the time.
Oh, wow!
I don't get if it's the schedule. I don't know if they have bad opponents. I don't know if they're just not meshing. I don't know.
It could be also because they have a kind of like a bigger schedule when it comes to the actual wrestling. So if they're transitioning from the style that they were doing on those other promotions, that I can see why they're getting hurt so easily as well. But again, what can we say, right? I mean, it's a contact business. I think people are going to get hurt at the end of the day. Like, I know somebody got hurt on Raw. I think it was Raw that somebody got hurt. I don't remember exactly who. I think it was during that match with Ricochet and The Miz, and one of those guys got hurt. I think Ricochet ended up getting hurt.
Look at guys like Moxley and even Kevin Owens. When Moxley was the WWE, Kevin Owens there now. But, I spoke about this on our last show, that these guys will wrestle for years and ignore their nagging injuries to an extent. And they'll never be off. They just keep going. They're just the most dependable people. But then when they get injured, they're out for like forever.
Yep. I mean, of course. I mean, because they let that injury exacerbate over time, and then of course, I mean, once it's to the point where your knees falling off, or you're losing a
Yeah.
foot or something like that,
Like the Undertaker. I'll give you an example of the
Yeah.
Undertaker. When he was doing the Ministry of Darkness thing,
Uh-huh.
um, he was wrestling with a pulled groin,
Yeah.
and then he had that match where the tag team buried alive match.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was him and Big Show against Mankind and I think The Rock. And even though they won that match, he ended up tearing his groin,
Oh wow.
which was already pulled, and he was out until the American Badass gimmick debuted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know he also wrestled with like a broken foot in that Hell in a Cell match versus Mick Foley. Also, he had a broken foot the entire
Yeah,
time. So,
yeah,
so but these guys, some of these guys are carved from a different tree, man. Like they'll work injured. They'll do what they can to keep the match going or to just keep the feud going, right? Because they know how important it is for them to get those those pay-per-view buys or
yeah,
those
yeah.
or
That
put butts
those
in the
that
seats,
that pay-per-view bonus. Look at Bray Wyatt when he wrestled the Undertaker at WrestleMania. He was
Mm-hmm.
wrestling with the damn near shattered ankle.
Yeah.
And then you saw after that match, he disappeared from TV for like 8 or 9 months.
Yep. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's crazy how long sometimes they're out, but again, sometimes the surgery and the rehab does take time, right? I think and I can attest to having an injury, right? I'm still not fully recovered from the BK Taco motorcycle incident that happened last year, right? When I was driving to get some BK tacos on my little scooter, and then boom, we'll
Was
see
that
what
where
was
you
that.
messed up your shoulder?
No, I was just literally riding around a few blocks away from home, and I just, I think what happened was I braked wrong, and my back tire slid out from underneath me, and I fell with the bike, and unfortunately I landed on my shoulder, right, which my shoulder just hasn't been the same since. I landed in it, and then this right here snapped. so so
Shit.
I was out of work for about 4 months. So I didn't get surgery, but the physical therapy was a pain in the ass. It's probably the most painful stuff I've ever had to go through in my life physically. Having to rehab the shoulder, right? But I hear that like it's worse with like leg injuries, like knee, ankle, foot, whatever. Like those are the hardest ones to kind of like get over. So I'm just like, damn, I'm so glad that I didn't like mess up my knee, because I did fall on my side. So I did land on my knee and ankle also, right? But luckily nothing happened there. I just was able to
Yeah,
just walked away
I
with
have
some scratches.
I have a lingering ankle
Yeah.
injury that never really healed right, and it's gotten to the point where my foot has molded to how that injury happened.
Uh-huh.
So now I walk like a duck, like my feet are spread out,
Yeah.
and I can't be on it for way too long because it's just the
Mm-hmm.
pain is just unbearable. But I still, I still suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, eventually you got to get that shit taken care of.
Fucking
What's next?
sucks. It fucking sucks is all I'm gonna say. So let's see what's next. Let's see. We have a few points of topic. NWA TV deal is in jeopardy, or I wouldn't say it's in jeopardy anymore. It's already kind of out of jeopardy.
Well, that whole thing with Father James
Yeah.
Storm and that sniffy sniff
the
angle
the
with the strippers.
cocaine.
But that's the thing, though. I don't know if they actually had the deal or not. I've
Yeah.
noticed that a lot of the dirt sheets will just make shit up and it'll just go viral. It's
Mhm.
always done that. It creates narratives.
Mhm.
But now that NXT is going to CW,
Mhm.
I really doubt that they're going to want to have a rival wrestling promotion on the same channel. I highly doubt that. So, if anything, that's going to fuck them out of that deal if that deal was in place to begin with.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I think they were probably in talks, but I don't think there was ever like a concrete deal when it came to.
That's the thing. Nobody's confirmed if there's actually
Yeah.
talks, though.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about NWA though, not NXT.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know the NXT thing is more of a real thing than the NWA.
No, the
thing.
NXT thing got announced.
Yeah, that was announced. So I mean, I'm pretty sure it's possible that Corgan was in talks with the CW, because I mean we had that had already been flying around the media for a couple of weeks already, I think. But again, who knows if that's really the real reason why the CW execs kind of scrapped off them doing that. I
Well, the
was
thing
here.
is, we don't know if that cost in the deal yet.
Yeah,
But the thing I want to know is, was the deal ever really in place? Because I don't remember
true.
Billy Corgan confirming that.
Yeah, because I was also hearing that they're part of the reason why they wanted NW, or they were, I guess, trying to push for NWA was also because like Billy Corgan apparently has some other reality show going out or something happening with him where he was doing a reality show that they wanted to kind of put on the CW as well. So I was hearing also that they wanted to just put NWA on the CW app, which is you can download the CW app and just stream the show, obviously, right, instead of airing like live television shows, I guess, or even just like reruns
I mean, if
or
that's the
taped.
case, unless he's getting paid to do that, that's
Yeah.
pointless to me.
Mm-hmm.
But now, if he's getting paid, then by all means.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I can't confirm any of these rumors, though. Right? They're all just rumors at the end of the day. So.
Hey, who writes the HEB Observer?
Who writes
Pete
the
Meltzer?
Observer? It's me. It's Mike DeBitt, man. I'm over here changing all the backgrounds because I'm trying to like get my hair in the shot because you can't really see my hair because it's kind of blacking out, but it's whatever. But yeah, it's one of those deals where I would love to see the NWA because I feel like they have such kind of a rich history going back like I don't know how long, but still like I just feel like it's not ready to be put out there on TV just yet. So I mean, maybe if they throw them out like on a specific app, right? Maybe Netflix will pick them up, or even Hulu. I mean, I don't think that it's against the realm of possibility that they have.
But here's the thing about the NWA. This is the issue. I sat through an episode of Power, for the first time, and they had the same problem that everyone else is having except the WWE. They have a bunch of wrestlers that need more training.
Yeah.
And
then they wonder why we don't have Jade Cargill wrestling just yet, right? Because she's still training. She's still a little. She's still green.
Dude, she is not ready for that stage yet.
Yeah.
There's no way that they were going to hire her without making her go to the performance center.
Yep. I mean,
I'm positive. If your style is different, if you come from like when WCW got bought out, of all people, Rey Mysterio was sent to OVW.
Shockingly.
And it's probably just to get his timing right, because he hadn't wrestled in like a year and a half. He was under that AOL Time Warner contract.
Yeah.
So it's probably just to get his footing back. But like, I don't care how long you've been wrestling. When you go to the big time, there's a very strong chance you're going to get sent down to developmental, not to develop, but to learn the style of that company to get your timing right. I think the only person in the last, I can't remember how long, that's debuted straight to the main roster was AJ Styles.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a lot of people like him that have just kind of transitioned from one company to the other without being like said like that. But that says a lot about guys like AJ Styles also, that he knows how to work. So
yeah.
So yeah, I'm positive we'll probably see Jade Cargill either at the Rumble or by the Rumble. You know what I mean? Who knows how long that tape? I mean, the thing is they've been kind of showing her here and there. Like I think she's going to be on SmackDown. I think I'm not 100% sure, or maybe NXT. I wouldn't be upset if she was
going to be. I think they said she'd be on Raw.
Okay,
so I would if she's going to be on Raw and they're not going to put her in NXT on TV, doesn't mean that she's not on there. Look at Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Before he debuted, you never saw him on NXT TV. He was kept hush hush.
Yeah, and that's true. And you never know; they can start throwing her in like dark matches, on or they can just start her on, doing house shows as well. Just to get those reps.
They would do. I don't even think they. I know they still do dark matches.
Yeah.
But I mean, like for tryouts and stuff, I don't think they do those anymore. I think they just have you go to the performance center now. And I think that in Jade's case, if she's not going to be in NXT, which I know she's had a cameo there, but
I think they also still film main event though, don't they? Like they still have that, I think. So
yeah, but on main event, they it's just like those old Saturday morning shows. It's just
Mm-hmm.
throwaway matches. You know, they don't
Mm-hmm.
have like people debuting on those shows. Really,
Mm-hmm.
not like in the '90s, but
Very true. Very true. Well, it's a different era and different times change. You're right about that. So, but yeah. I mean, other than that, let's see
HBK is
what
a good
what.
trainer. I'll give him that. HBK
Oh
is an
yeah.
excellent trainer.
Oh yeah, well of course, he was definitely one of the best in ring performers of all time. So it's hard not to get hyped up when there's guys that are under his tutelage. Again, guys like Bryan Danielson who went
Or even when
to
Dusty Rhodes was there, Dusty Rhodes was trying to
yeah.
help them with the promos and stuff.
Yeah, and look at that class where what they've done up to this point. You know what I mean? A lot of those guys were very successful, right? Multi-time champions already. One of them, the top guy right now, currently. Roman Reigns. You had John Moxley, you had Seth Rollins, and just a plethora of talent that have come out of that FCW chain when Dusty was in charge. So I definitely. It's definitely a lot different. I feel like it's different now, but it's also not. At the same time. It's like
I mean,
they've.
there you go. Look at John Moxley. Look at Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
Like they both came. Like Seth Rollins came from Ring of Honor.
Yep.
Former world champion there.
Yeah.
What's his name? John Moxley came from Combat Zone Wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
which is mostly hardcore, but they have regular wrestling matches and stuff. Those guys were both veterans, and they still made them go through that farm system.
Yeah. And it's pretty crazy that they brought a guy like Moxley in from a promotion like that. I always wondered about that. I was just like, man, But I mean, I guess they saw something in him that they really liked. So obviously,
yeah, he was gaining a lot of traction on the indies. He was buzzing.
Yeah, so the good for him. He's had a very solid career in my opinion. Like WWE run. Of course, he didn't have as many accolades as Rollins and Reigns has, but he also left the company. So who knows what would have happened if he ended up staying in the company and maybe changing his character up a little bit, right, to what it is now.
He did all right there. I think
he did all right. He got to world championship status. He was only like a one-time champion.
Yeah.
Multi-time
world champ. Yeah.
Yeah, one-time world champ, but he was also, he pretty much was a Grand Slam champion. He held every major title in the company as well. So I can't really knock on him too much. He was actually one of my more favorite characters back then when he was there with the Shield. So, okay, let's see. We got one more in Borganta in the house saying, "Did you scrap the e-bike?" Yes. Well, I didn't scrap it. I sold the e-bike. So just a heads up on that. So, there's that. So what we got one more little topic of conversation here, and then we will close out because I know it's late for Mr. Mill. Drew McIntyre's future in WWE. So definitely that's been buzzing around the internet also.
Why would I honestly like? I know people say he's going to AEW, whatever. If he wants to go there, fine. Money is money.
Yeah,
but I don't know, bro. I feel like he looks like he's frustrated. I just feel like he's frustrated. You can kind of tell that sometimes with certain wrestlers, like Cesaro when he was there. I felt like he looked like he was frustrated too. I don't know. Like, what do you think happens with him? Do you think he resigns? Do you think he goes to all Elote?
I don't think personally that he is going to go. I think it's just a ploy, and the fact that he hasn't signed, okay, maybe it's he's trying to kind of work, the system to where he will get, renegotiated into a better contract, right? A lot of wrestlers do like to wait, and you never know. Maybe he just wants to take time off. Maybe he doesn't want to resign because maybe he does want to take time off and do his own thing for a little bit. Maybe come back a little bit later on. Who knows? That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go to AEW or another promotion right away. I don't always believe that. Is AEW a viable option for him? Yes, but I like to think that look at what AEW has done or with the people that they have signed from WWE, and it's just like is it a fair comparison to say that he's going to be more successful there than in WWE? Like I really can't say. Look at guys like Keith Lee, for instance, right? Who everyone when he debuted over there was like, yes, he's going to be the first black champion, and then fizzled out. Really haven't done a lot with him. Um, and I can name a few other names, right? But I really don't care because a lot of people haven't really lasted, or most of them are just injured, right? Adam Copeland, really hasn't done much in the month and a half that he's been there. I really just haven't really cared what he's doing. The only really one that has been successful, in my opinion, that has come from the WWE system is Christian Cage. He's the only one that has really kind of gotten it and gotten over really good in AEW.
Yep, top heel.
Yeah, he's the top heel in the company right now. Not to say that there's not other good heels, right? In the company, but he is making that TNT title relevant, and it's just fun to watch the segments. I don't care about the wrestling. I really don't care like what he's doing in the ring. It's just really entertaining to watch. Like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Attitude Era, where he's just talking all this shit about everybody. It's just fun and entertaining to watch.
Like, I feel like there's one guy that I think would be better off in the WWE at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I know he has kind of sour grapes about them. I don't know the whole story, but I think that someone like Wardlow, would do a lot better in the WWE.
I mean, you never know. I mean, who knows how much?
He's just, that guy's been so mishandled.
Yeah.
And it's like there's certain guys that they just, they should just. He really should just, and this is just, you can call it markish, you can call it
Markism.
You can call it markism, you can call it someone that's been in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
He just needs to go there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just time.
We'll
MJF would be great. I would love to see him in the WWE, but I feel like his style is too controversial.
Yeah.
As far as promos go, and I think that they're gonna maybe make him tone it down a lot, which it's like
I don't think that they would let him get away with what he gets away with in AEW.
For the main thing, they won't let him curse. That's one thing.
Yeah.
He's not going to curse. But
no, I mean, I agree there. I definitely don't think that any of that's going to happen with him as far as that goes. So that's why, like, even though he's saying, the bidding war of 2024, right? Yeah, is it really going to be a bidding war, or is he just trying to hype himself up so that TK can give him a little bit of a bigger contract, right? At least six figures. Maybe he'll get like 1.5 million.
As soon as his contract allows him to negotiate. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long before a wrestling contract expires to where they can negotiate with the company they're with and a competitor.
Yeah,
but there's no doubt that they're going to be knocking at his door.
Oh yeah,
there's no doubt in my mind about it.
We'll really see what the future entails with him. Like, because I like him and then I don't like him at the same time, just because I'm just like, I'm not really sold on it. He was a good heel, and he is entertaining to watch, but I mean, wrestling wise though,
the way he's been booked, it has gotten a little bit stale.
Yeah, especially over the last 6 months. I feel like the beginning of 2023 was a lot better for him than towards the end, right? Obviously, I really didn't care about the whole Adam Cole stuff that was going on with him and Cole, but the whole best friends thing, I thought it was just fucking stupid. It's been done before. He's literally done that storyline with like two or three other guys. So
I like
nothing
the
new.
Stuff he did with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah,
that was my favorite MJF stuff, and also, the first couple of months of AEW when he would just come out and just shit on the crowd. He's had better times, but. That's all I got, brother. I'm falling asleep.
All right, boss. All right, man. Well, then, all right, let's go ahead and close it out. Thanks again, guys, especially Borganta, because I think Borganta's like been the only one here. I know Latrell was here for a few minutes, so shout out to Latrell, shout out to Borganta, and whoever else was here that didn't comment, because I know we had like 4 or 5 people watching at one point. So shout outs to all of you guys for being here. And Mill Hustles, get some rest, man. I know you got a long day as well. I'm off tomorrow, luckily, so I'm gonna freaking just sleep in and hopefully enjoy the ugly rainy weather that we're going to get, and we'll see how it goes. I might be doing my gig work tomorrow as well. So
no gigging tomorrow.
I might. We'll see how the weather is. If not, maybe I'll pick up a shift at good old HEB's.
I bet.
All right,
y'all. Next time. Thanks for tuning in to the one people that watched us, not people, because.
Thanks, Borganta. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good one. Just like CVTech